Hello everyone and welcome back to our Adobe Basics tutorial video series. In this series, we will be covering Adobe XD, our UX UI software. In this particular tutorial, we are going to focus in on extending our knowledge about creating a menu, specifically a mobile menu within Adobe XD. In the previous video, we were able to create a menu or a hamburger menu that extended out to a traditional menu. So let's check this out. So we have this hamburger button, click it, it's going to give us our menu. And right now we have just the home page listed within this menu. We're going to extend that a little bit and we're going to have a menu that does this. So our menu will now have not only just the home page, but it will have all the other basic pages that we need, such as an about, services, projects, shop, and a contact page. Additionally, we're going to have this little function here. We have a hover where it creates this little line that extends out to the right. Pretty cool little feature. So without further ado, let's jump into this. All right. So what we're going to do, we have our home right here. We need to create that rectangle that's going to extend. Let's go ahead and make that rectangle by grabbing the rectangle tool. This needs to be bigger than our text. And we're going to select the color from our previous menu. So that way we have a little bit of contrast. All right, so to fix this, what we need to do is we're going to, one, get rid of the stroke. So we don't want it gray, we want it consistent all the way around, okay? The part that we want to change, though, is this end right here. Typically, the old way we used to do it is we pull that one side, it's going to do all four. We don't want to do that. We just want to do two particular corners. So to do that, you need to go down to where it says Appearance, go down about halfway, and you're going to see these two little icons. We want to click on the second one, and that's going to give us four little toggles here, or 4 zeros, and that's corresponding to the 4 corners. Since we're only dealing with the ones on the right hand side, we're going to do these middle pieces. Okay? And you can go in here, you can actually click and it'll allow you to do that. But I know from past experience that these two are going to be our ones that are going to correspond with the right. So we're going to make these both 30. Oops. We didn't want to mess with our opacity, we just want to mess with these. Okay? So 30 for that one. See how it changed? And then 30 for this guy. Okay? So now we have what we want. Take a look at it. That's it. Okay? Now, we don't have our text. We don't see it. So we have to change that in our order. So we're going to move that up. Okay? Now, we want to move our text down a little bit so that way it's a little more even with what we have. Additionally, we want to make sure our text is not centered. We want our text to be left justified. And then we're going to move it just so slightly over to the right. Perfect. And we're in good shape. And actually, I'm going to put it at 54. That way, I know that. Okay. Adjust this down just a hair. Okay. So now that we have that, what we have to do is we have to combine these in a way so that way it's going to do a specific function for us, meaning that hover. So what we're going to do is typically we would click both pieces and we would make them a group. We're still going to do that, but in a different type of group. It's going to be called a component, and that's going to give us our hovering option. So let's go ahead and right click. We're going to go down here to make component, and you'll notice that the outer part of this now turned green. That lets us know that we have a component. Well, there's a couple other ways for us to tell too. On the left hand side, you will see component. On the right hand side, you will see that there's now a new component option for us in the properties. Okay? All right. So if we click the little diamond, okay, you'll notice group has a little icon that has a little folder. And groups, they're diamonds. So if we click on the diamond, it tells us what's in that particular component. All right. So why is this important? This is where the function part comes into play. On a component, you can have it perform a specific function. And this is more for an aesthetics piece. So we have options like a toggle. So if you had an iPhone or an app where it has that little toggle that goes from left to right or top to bottom, that's a toggle. In this case, we want to hover. So if we go over it, it's going to change it from a small piece to a more extended piece. Okay? So to do that, we have a state here. It's called default. That is what we want it to start at as. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this first. We're going to click on the rectangle. Okay? So now that's activated. We want to push this all the way back to the left behind our H. Okay? Like right about there. That's good. Okay? Now, we're going to click on component again so that way we can just mess with the component. And we're going to add a state. And we're going to click on hover. Okay? Click on the gray area so that way we can start messing with the hover. So we click on this. Now, we have the default state and the hover state don't look any different. Okay? Default state, we have it. This is where it's going to start. And then the hover state is where we want it to go to. And then what happens is when we're away from it, it's going to go back to its default state. All right? Because it's the default. That's what it's supposed to look like. So on our hover state, the only thing that we need to change is that ball. Okay? So to do that, open up our component. Going to go to rectangle, and we'll extend that out to like there. Huh? So now, if we click on our component, check this out. Our hover state is this. Our default state is this. See how that changes? So how does that work in our real world? So we're going to click on menu 2. We're going to click on play. And watch this. We go over home. There it goes. It's working. The default state is this. This is the hover state. Hover state. Perfect. Okay. So remember I told you we have 6 pages we're going to create. All right. So we've actually created the action. All we need to do is make copies and then update those copies. Okay. So, well, in order to do that, we're going to utilize some skills we've used in other courses. So we're going to click on our component. We will click on repeat grid. And we'll repeat that so that we have a total of 6 of these particular home components. So we're going to bring it down. There's 3, 4, 5, and there's 6. Okay? We will ungroup them so that way we can mess with them individually. Okay? I'm going to zoom out. I want these to have a little bit more spacing. So to do that, we're going to leave them as they are all selected. Not grouped, just selected. And we're going to pull this down. So you'll notice that now it's equally spacing all of those pages for us. And then if we click in the gray area, now we have 6 separate pages. How do we check that? Click on just the second component, and you'll notice there's 6 different components here. Right there. That's how we know. Okay? Now we can organize these after the fact, just to make things a little easier for us. But just so that way you can get used to components, I would just say leave them as they are. Okay? So let's do our first one. We want this guy right here to be our about page. So we have to change the text for both the default state and the hover state. Just the text, nothing else. So we'll go to default state first, open it up, double click on that text. Let's highlight it and change this to about. Click in the gray area, click again, go to hover. Double click on that text, make that about. And we're going to follow the same process to get all of our other pages done. So this one right here is going to be services. Okay. I'm go to my hover. Change this guy. Services. I believe this one right here is going to be our projects. That would be stuff that we're going to be working on currently, so people know that we actually do work. Not just stuff that's, stuff that we can actually show that's in process versus stuff that's actually cool. And again, we're just going through all of these and changing them. And then this one's going to be our shop, so people can buy stuff from us. Okay. All right, last one is going to be our contact page. We want people to be able to reach out to us. Okay. Product, go to hover, and all right, so that's all. All right, so let's test it out. Let's make sure it all works. Okay. Oh, hold up. Home is the only one that's working. Anybody catch why that is? All right. So the reason that is because this is it's set for the default state. If we don't go back through and set all of these back to their default states, they're not going to work. So let's go back in there and let's check it out. Let's go here. First of all, it's on hover. So it's already set to hover. It's not going to do anything. So back to default. And that's also how you can check and see if you did everything right too. Because your default state is your starting of what your action is going to be. Okay, let's try this again. See how it works. All right. It doesn't matter which one I hit, as long as I'm over one of them. See? Home, boom, boom, boom. Just to make it fancy. Okay? So that concludes our making a menu and adding a hover effect to the menu. This is not something that is mandatory when it comes to designing a menu for a mobile site. However, it does add a little bit of cool, creative aesthetic to what you are creating. So we definitely want to make things that are not only just user-friendly, but also that are aesthetically pleasing to the people that are going to be utilizing our services. So until the next video, I look forward to seeing all of you. Take care.